Hello again, I am Blunty. Something a little bit different for you again today. I'm going to talk about my childhood for a little bit. Well, one little portion of my childhood. It's not something I do often because anyone who's known me for more than sort of half an hour or so and, knows anything about pop psychology or something can probably extrapolate that my childhood wasn't an ideal situation. Oh, feel pity for Blunty. He had a crappy childhood. Maybe that's why he's such an arsehole. But back to the story. So I'm sitting at my computer earlier this afternoon. I'm tipping and tapping away and doing some research and stuff, and something pops into my head out of nowhere. It had nothing at all to do with what I was working on or what I was thinking about, nothing at all to do with the headspace. I wasn't thinking about my childhood, wasn't thinking about sort of outdoor activities or anything like that, but suddenly I remembered my skateboard. My very first skateboard from when I was, a wee lad. Well, I wasn't a wee lad, I was a fat child, but when I was a smaller fat guy than I was right now, and the beard hadn't come in yet. But it was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles skateboard, and it was awesome. It was, as the picture here I've got over my shoulder, or maybe the full screen, I don't know how I'm going to edit this, but I'll point there just to imagine it's there, and if I put it over here, it'll be all distracting and over my face, and getting distracted. Skateboard, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not the cartoon variety, although cartoon inspired. It's actually a version of the characters. The artwork actually came from the Mirage comics that were on at the time. And when I got it first as a kid, I think it was like 89 or 90 or something. It was very early in that sort of craze. And I felt a bit miffed about it because I didn't like that particular art style much because I was first introduced to the Turtles via the cartoon. And then I got the skateboard and went, they're not drawn properly. They don't look like they look in the cartoons. And it kind of bugged me for a while. But then I got into the comics and they were very different from the 80s cartoon or 90s cartoon. Much, much darker, more violent, more gritty. There was a parody of the anti-hero kind of thing going on. And I fell in love with, the real Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the day. So I grew to love the artwork on that skateboard more and more from the Mirage comics. And as you can see, well, at least if you know anything about skateboards, it's what is now referred to as an old school deck. Back in 1989 or 1990 or whatever it wasn't called an old school deck because that's just how skateboards look. They had started to evolve into what's called these days a freestyle board with the kick at both ends, but this one didn't. It just had the kick at the tail end and the nose, and the boards weren't the trick machines they are designed to be today. It was this particular board, especially because it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was designed for kids, so the trucks are a bit crappy and the wheels are very slow, so I guess trying to limit the amount of damage a kid could do to himself by hurtling down a steep road or something on the thing. It was fairly slow and fairly heavy and awkward to ride, and the trucks sucked. So I replaced them because I figured out very quickly that the trucks sucked because being the massive dork of a child I went to the library and got a book. Actually 2 books about how to skateboard and how to maintain a skateboard and all about the different parts and bits and pieces. So I was teaching myself all about, skateboards and stuff because I'm a big nerd, obviously. So I learned all about the different types of trucks and wheels and bearings and all that sort of stuff. So I trucked out my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles skateboard so it rode much, much better and faster and was easier to carve around on. And I loved the thing. I wasn't very good at skateboarding. I was much more at home on my mountain bike, really, but I liked the board so much, and I'd put so much time and effort into learning about skateboarding and getting the different trucks and the different wheels and different bearings for it so it rode better and more comfortably and faster and it was easier to maneuver and all that sort of stuff. I became invested in the skateboard thing, and I did eventually move up to a proper earlier version of what's now called a freestyle deck, but I wasn't very good, really. I was too fat for skateboarding, really, not agile enough, but it was fun. I really, really loved that board, and it's sort of one of those bits from my childhood that I can look back on and went, there was nothing about that I didn't like. That was awesome. It was fun to ride. It was fun to learn about skateboarding. It was fun sticking it on my arm and heading out and going up to the school grounds of a weekday and going onto the basketball court where it was all nice and flat and sort of practicing, sort of getting up to speed and moving around on the thing and then going to the streets. And it was one of the purest experiences of my childhood, and I look back on it with quite a lot of glee, really. Shortly after this memory all come flooded back to me, I hit eBay to see if I could try. Well, first I hit Google image search because I shared it on Twitter. I was desperate to find a picture of the skateboard, my first skateboard, Lil Blunty's first skateboard, I think I tweeted out as. But then I hit eBay trying to find it. I thought, well, that's really cool. I think I would like to own that piece of that small happy chunk of my childhood. I'd like to get it back. I mean, as a 35-year-old man, I don't think I'll be cruising around Sydney on it. Actually, I probably would. You know, who gives a shit what strangers think? If I could find this skateboard again, I would take it out in the streets, I think. Who cares how ridiculous I look as a 35-year-old man on a 1989 old-school skateboard wobbling down the road. But yeah, I couldn't find them on eBay. None on eBay, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the story of my very first skateboard. Oh, another tidbit of information which is completely irrelevant, but some might find interesting in some way. But I'm a goofy foot. If you're not familiar with skateboarding or snowboarding or surfing, I think they use the same term as well. Goofy foot is right foot forward, and apparently it's like being left-handed. There are fewer goofy-footed riders around than there are what they call natural, which is why, actually, I won't tell you why they call it goofy-footed, because you think, well, they call it goofy-footed because it's unusual to be right foot forward, but it's not that, because one of the first people to ride on a snowboard with their right foot forward, which was then completely unusual, especially in competition specs. Well, I'll let you Google it. Google why goofy-footed skateboarders and snowboarders and stuff are called goofy-footed, because it's a fairly nifty story. But anyway, just wanted to share that little piece of story. I have something different for you today. No review, no rant or anything, just a little personal chunk of my childhood, which, like I said before, I really don't share that much about. You know, those areas of my life, particularly on, you know, the interweb nets. But yeah, thanks for watching. I am Blunty. Drop a comment below and tell me if you had one of these skateboards as your first skateboard, or what your first skateboard was, or you know, if there was something special about your first bike, or you know, one of those childhood things that is just a pure chunk of happiness. There was nothing sucky about anything that happened with it, because you know, we all need kind of those things to hold on to when life gets really shitty. You can just grasp onto that old memory and go, that thing was pure happiness. That was awesome. I want more of that in my life. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I'll catch you next time.